Hey guys, over the past few days, I guess the embargo for a lot of the endgame content has been lifted. As not only did Ubisoft drop a trailer for The Division 2 about the endgame, but also a lot of outlets and some websites dropped some videos and just a whole list of information that's all tied to the endgame. Now, the trailer doesn't tell us too much. We can see that, for example, the 8-player raid is going to take place at the Washington, D.C. airport, which for those that don't know means that it will be outside of the normal playable map area. Which is pretty interesting because that has led a lot of people to speculate that for future raids, not this one, but the ones after that come with the DLC, we might also see a whole bunch of other places, like, for example, the Pentagon. But yeah, other than that, we also learned that world tiers are coming back. Once we hit level 30, we'll start with world tier 1, and then just like within the Division 1, we have to move up with the world tiers as we get better gear. This time, though, players will have to beat a Stronghold to move up a world tier every time. Sounds interesting. I'm not sure what the Strongholds are. They could just be storyline missions with different type of NPCs, like more Black Tusk, but it could also be separate and new content that you then get once you get to the end game. I really don't know. And yeah, once you move up to world tiers, you get access to more options at the crafting table as well as a bunch of other bonuses. And yeah, look at these armor bars. They're pretty fat. These guys, they have a lot of armor. And this actually made me wonder what effect the normalization will have on this, as the developers have said that the normalization only increases lower stats, but will not squish down higher stats. And since the normalization that we've seen so far gave much less armor as a baseline, I mean, just look at the difference between the bars, then maybe that means that having a min-maxed build still matters a lot more than we thought it would, even in the occupied dark zones where normalization is in place. We also have a lot of information about the clans from the official website. The developers say here that there will be all kinds of settings within the clan that you can adjust to personalize it. Like, for example, what type of clan is it? PvE, PvP, casual, hardcore? Is it a private clan or just a public clan that anybody can join? There's going to be a ranking system within the clan which allows for different functions. There's going to be weekly rewards for doing things in the clan. And there's even going to be a clan member of the month, which I'm sure will turn into a meme very fast. And yeah, then, of course, the thing that I wanted to base this video around, the thing that I think is the most important to talk about are the specializations, because in a video that IGN dropped, they showed off the specialization skill tree for the Demolitionist, which it seems that once you reach level 30, you can earn specialization points by playing missions or playing open world activities or whatever, and then you can spend those to unlock more bonuses that are then active when you play with a certain specialization. The same way you unlock perks at the Quartermaster, when you reach level 30, you have, I guess, more perks to pick from, but then only for certain specializations. Now, IGN actually only shows the tree for the Demolitionist, but thanks to a detailed post on the Division Zone, which is a website, we can actually see all the bonuses for every single specialization: the Sharpshooter, the Demolitionist, and the Survivalist. Now, to my understanding, all these bonuses, they work like perks, which means that you can unlock all of them if you eventually grind enough specialization points. This is unlike, of course, the talents in the Division 1, where you could only pick and choose 4 to be active at a certain time. But yeah, I believe that these are more like perks, like you unlock them, and these are just passive bonuses that you always have on. In the footage, we do see a respec option underneath, so the player can press it and then respec his options. But I believe that this is for players who haven't accumulated enough points yet to unlock everything at the same time. So they've been playing with the Demolitionist, they've been speccing into that, but they don't really like it, then they can just withdraw the points and put it into something else. But I think that eventually, if you grind enough, everybody should be able to unlock everything and have everything permanently available to them. It's just that you'll get different bonuses when you play with different specializations. And if I happen to be wrong with this, I'll make sure to correct it in a future video, but just I think that this is how it works, and that's because, well, a couple of unlocks don't actually do a whole lot. Like, for example, we have this one, which is just an outfit. Hey, you can spend your skill points on an outfit, but no one's ever gonna do that if you can only pick and choose a few in an endgame build, right? So yeah, let's talk about what these talents do for the player. You, of course, always have a signature weapon. You have a new skill mod, which is stuff we already talked about. There's also a new grenade type. There's a special medkit type. There's also a unique weapon attachment for every one of them. So with one you'll get a scope, with the other one you'll get a special magazine. There's a special group buff, which buffs the whole squad based on certain things. And then there's just a whole bunch of general stat bonuses, like extra weapon damage. And there's also a couple ways that you can regain your signature ammo through talents. So yeah, I think it's just best if we just start right away with the Sharpshooter specialization, which is the one that gives you the big sniper. And I'm just going to follow the order that the bonuses are listed here on this website, because it's just easier that way. So we're going to start off with the general stat bonuses. For the Sharpshooter, we have 25% headshot damage, 30% reload speed, 30% stability, some extra armor while you're in cover, reduced critical hit chance versus you in conflict game modes, and group members that are closer to the target than you are get 10% headshot damage. There's nothing really that's out of the ordinary here, nothing that's too strong. For anybody wondering how much armor you get while you're in cover, it's this amount, the amount highlighted in blue, so it's just a couple of extra bars, nothing too significant. And then the headshot damage, it might seem strong, but keep in mind that the Sharpshooter player is most likely also always going to be using snipers or rifles, and these weapons already come with quite a bit of headshot damage to begin with. And thus, this headshot damage amount is going to be added in the additive way to the headshot damage that you already have. So yeah, it's extra damage, I guess, but it's not as much as it seems here. And for the Vital Protection talent, the one that reduces critical hit chance versus you in the conflict game modes, which is Skirmish and Domination, this is something that we haven't seen from the Division 1 ever, like reduced stats versus you, but this is actually a talent that every specialization has. And my guess is that this is something that the developers have added to reduce the strength of crit builds in the dedicated PvP modes, which is fine, I guess. I guess they did that for balance reasons. And then moving down the list, we have a flashbang grenade. We have the ability to use a special 3-round pistol that we also know from the Division 1. We have 10% sidearm damage, 145% signature weapon damage, 15% marksman rifle damage, and a special scope which zooms in a little more than the other scopes. Now, the only thing that obviously really caught my attention is the 145% signature weapon damage, which is, that's insane. That's a lot of damage.
Now that's a lot of damage!
All of the specialization classes have this as well, so every single one of them has a way to unlock the 145% signature weapon damage. The thing with the other specializations is that the grenade launcher and the crossbow, those weapons, they deliver the damage that they do, not with weapon damage, but with exotic damage, because with the grenade launcher and with the explosion from the crossbow, all of the damage or part of the damage is coming from the explosion, and that's exotic damage. So in PvP, if you do not want to get insta-nuked by either of those, there's always the option to spec a little bit into hazard protection. And for those that don't know, hazard protection is all resistance and exotic damage resilience, just put into one stat. And don't worry if this is a little bit complicated right now. I am going to make a video where I just go over all the old and the new stats in the Division and how they work in a video very close before launch. So if you can't keep up now, don't worry about it. I'll explain it in a video that I'll release very soon. But what this basically means is that if a player has 50% hazard protection, that would reduce the damage that you take from the explosions, from the crossbow and from the grenade launcher by half. So you only take half the damage. With the sniper, however, I think all the damage that it does comes from weapon damage. And taking that in mind, that means that hazard protection cannot protect you from the sniper. And that has led me to either one of two conclusions. Either this sniper is going to be very weak at its base, or it's going to be reasonably strong, and then with the 145% signature weapon damage, it's going to one-shot even the tankiest builds in PvP. Don't know which one it's going to be, but I guess we'll find out at launch. This specialization also comes with a drone that can pulse targets, and you can see them through walls. And then the special medkit, as I mentioned in my video on the medkits, it only heals the player for 50% of his health, but then it also increases the player's bleed, burn, and poison resistance for 20 seconds. I think this is a little bit weak compared to even the normal medkit, but especially compared to the other special medkits from the other specializations, which we'll get to in a second. And then to finish up this specialization skill tree, there are two talents that allow you to get more signature ammo. One is that headshot kills drop special ammo, and then two is that kills with the signature weapon, with the sniper, the special one, have a chance to drop signature ammo for the members of your group. And this, I think this is very strong, also compared to the other ones, which, again, we'll get to soon. A headshot kill for a sniper bullet, that is some very, very easy signature ammo in the dark zone. And then just killing NPCs with your sniper, of course, that's going to be insane for PvE. Of course, you're going to get so much signature ammo. Oh, and there's also this last talent, which gives you 5 ammo per 10 seconds for your rifles after you have been in cover for 20 seconds, which I think this seems pretty bad. I mean, nobody's ever gonna sit in the same piece of cover for 30 seconds. Not even in PvE, because, you know, even when I'm playing some high-level PvE and I'm trying to stay back and actually use the cover, I still find myself moving from cover to cover to hit different NPCs and also to just dodge grenades. So I don't think that this last talent will be too useful, but again, we'll see how this plays out, I guess. Next up is the skill tree for the Demolitionist, and I'll go over this a little bit quicker, as I imagine some people have already seen this from the IGN video, so I don't want to waste too much time on it. But yeah, the general modifiers are 20% burn resistance, 25% explosive damage, reduced critical hit chance versus you in conflict, same as the other one, and then all group members gain 5% out of cover damage. The burn resistance seems pretty meh, but the 25% explosive damage and the group buff both seem pretty strong. Imagine your nade doing 25% more damage. That's a one-shot nade in PvP if the other player doesn't have hazard protection or armor stacked. And then the 5% out of cover damage is especially strong because this 5% of damage will be calculated in the multiplicative way and not the additive way with the other damage sources. And yes, this is also the case with the Division 2. I've tested this in all the betas that I've played so far, and it's still multiplicative. I'll also make a video about this when we get closer to launch. But yeah, that means that this basically amounts to 5% of extra damage across the board for the whole team, which is... it's not bad. It's a pretty strong buff, I gotta say, especially in PvP where players don't really use cover that much. Then the special grenade, we already know what this does. It's a grenade which applies a bleed but then deals less burst damage. Then we have the Magnum as a special sidearm, the same 10% sidearm damage, the same 150% signature weapon damage, 15% SMG and LMG damage, and a special underbarrel to use for some of your weapons. All of this speaks for itself, I think. There's nothing to go over in depth. Again, the 145% damage for the signature weapon can be mitigated with hazard protection stat rolls. So if you don't want to get nuked, you just roll that. And then the special skill for this specialization is the artillery turret, which is the one that allows you to drop mortars on the location of your reticle. The armor kit, this is the one I actually really like. It's still not the best of the 3 special ones, but this one is pretty strong, I think. It heals you for 70% of your max health and then gives you 100% weapon handling for 15 seconds. Now, I don't think the weapon handling is too significant. Maybe with some weapons it is, but with others it might not be. The most important thing with this medkit is, though, that after the 15 seconds, after those 15 seconds are over, you get the remaining 30%, which means that if you're about to take a fight and you know it, you can pop this medkit preemptively, even when you're at full health, and then you can phase trade after 15 seconds, and then mid-phase trade you get the 30% armor back mid-fight, which means that, you know, you essentially have 130% more armor, and I think that's pretty strong. Then there are 2 talents for the signature weapon to get your ammo back, just like with the other one. The way you get your signature ammo back with the Demolitionist is by getting an explosive kill, which is, I think it's a lot harder than a headshot because you need to rely on your skills and grenades to get your ammo back. And then you can try to get multi-kills because multi-kills give your teammates a chance to drop signature ammo. So I guess there's that. Also, when armor is reduced to 0%, it refills all the main weapon ammo. And this is a pretty cool talent. Every 60 seconds, you can ignore an explosion, which means that every 60 seconds, you can get hit by a seeker mine or a grenade, and then you will not take any damage and you will not get staggered. Very strong when, you know, somebody's playing seeker mine against you and you just want to run in, you got this active, seeker mine goes off, does nothing, and you win the trade. Now, I think these are pretty interesting talents at the very least, but my favorite one for PvP, I guess, from just looking at what these things are on paper, is, in my opinion, the Survivalist, and you'll soon see why. Now, the general modifiers aren't that good. We have 20% protection from elites, 25% increased healing from team members, 10% cooldown reduction when in cover, again, the same reduced critical hit chance to you when you're in conflict, and then also 10% damage to targets with status effects. And again, you know, nothing looks too strong here, but The thing that I like about this for PvP is mostly the 25% increased healing from teammates. Alone, this isn't really strong, but you'll see why I like this in just a minute. So basically, for the weapons, we have the same stuff again. We have a special sidearm pistol. We have the same damage bonuses, 10% for the sidearm, 145% for the signature weapon, and then also bonus damage for the assault rifle and shotgun. And then we have a special magazine for the assault rifles. The special skill, something we also already know, is the Seeker Mind that heals your teammates. And then, here comes the juicy stuff. The special medkit repairs your armor over 5 seconds instead of instantly repairing the armor. But, and this is a big but, the armor repair effect also applies to team members within 10 meters. Now, if it didn't repair their armor within 10 meters, this medkit would have already been really good, because you can pop it at full health and then go around the corner, and then for the next 5 seconds, you will heal extra armor back. I think it was even above 100%, but let's say it just heals for 100% for now. So this is basically a preemptive medkit that you can pop just before you take damage. But the fact that it also works for your group members within 10 meters, this right here is straight up Combat Medic 2.0. So for example, the situation that I can imagine happening with this talent is that one player pops a medkit at full health, and then all the other team members just run in around the corner to face straight, and then everybody of the squad gets 100% of their armor repaired over the next 5 seconds. And if those teammates were already almost or at full health to begin with, well, that's the whole squad having 200% HP right there. Really, really strong. But now, imagine running, let's say, 3 survivalists in the group. So all those 3 members get 25% increased healing from teammates. And then 2 players pop a medkit before going around the corner. Then everybody goes around the corner and everybody has at least 250% bonus armor over the next 5 seconds. I can definitely see organized groups getting insane value out of this one, especially if said group members also stack all the armor talents, because the healing of the armor plates is percentage based. So yeah, basically for 5 seconds you go out and you just wreck. The talents for the signature ammo aren't that great. Status effect kills allow you to get more signature ammo, and then multi-kills of status affected enemies have a chance to give teammates signature ammo. This is very specific. I think for starters, it's pretty hard to kill NPCs consistently when they have a status effect on them, unless you have some talents that allow you to put out more status effects. Otherwise, you're just relying on maybe your skills and your grenades. So yeah, I think this is not too great. And then you also get 5 ammo per second when moving from cover to cover in combat, which I think that's a pretty throwaway talent, to be honest. But yeah, that's the full list. That's the full list of all the bonuses that each of the specializations come with. Of course, keep in mind that only one of these 3 set of boosts can be active at the same time. If you go with the Sharpshooter, you only get the bonuses for the Sharpshooter. If you go with the Demolitionist, you only get the bonuses for the Demolitionist. So you cannot just, I'll take this out of this specialization and that out of that specialization. You cannot combine the 145% signature weapon damage from all the classes to get 435% damage, luckily. And I think that some of these bonuses are pretty cool. It gives us something to unlock after reaching level 30, I guess. But there is a part of me that wonders if this will not lock us in very samey builds too much. For example, for PvP, as I said, I cannot really see myself playing anything other than the Survivalist, at least in group, simply because of the medkit talent. It allows you to do so much more playmaking than anything the other talent trees have, I guess. Being able to pop a medkit preemptively, being able to use a medkit to heal your teammates. That sort of stuff is crucial in PvP, I think, because any other way of burst healing or sustain is pretty much gone. We only have very slow healing over time effects, which aren't bad, but that means it's all about the 100 to a 0 phase trade, which means armor is really important, which means any source of burst armor is incredibly strong. So I can't really see myself playing anything other than Survivalist just by looking off of these stats. And because the Survivalist comes with 15% assault rifle damage and 15% shotgun damage, that probably means I'll use an assault rifle for my primary and then a shotgun as my sidearm, because I think that a buffed up assault rifle with 15% damage is always going to be a little stronger than any other weapon unbuffed, unless such weapon is horribly unbalanced. So yeah, for PvE it will of course be a different story, but it's still the same concept. If you want to play Demolitionist, well, you better use the SMG or the LMG, because otherwise you don't get 15% extra damage. But hey, we'll see. Just because we're using the Sharpshooter doesn't mean we also have to use the special drone. So maybe it's all optional. But again, 15% extra damage, not something that I want to miss out on if I want to play with a perfect build, right? So yeah, that's going to wrap it up for this video. As always, guys, I hope you all enjoyed. I will see you guys later. Or, like they say in the Netherlands, zie je later.